The following is a public access production. It is not produced, sponsored, or endorsed by this station, the local government, or the cable providers. The program producer is solely responsible for the content of this program.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Bummy's Kitchen. Woo! Happy Halloween! It is tomorrow and it's looking quite spooky out. It's been rainy today. Very quite rainy. So today we're doing a spooky meal. I got my little friends behind me. I stole them from work. Don't hurt me. So today we're gonna be doing tomato soup, spooky version, tomato soup and grilled cheese. So I'm gonna be testing something. I've never done this before, but I feel like it could be fun. We're gonna be playing around with some food coloring to make it a little bloody, and then I've got black for the grilled cheese. I'm gonna try and turn them into bats, cut out little triangles out of and make them into wings. I don't know, it should be fun. But for this meal, we'll need obviously tomatoes. Definitely, I would say for any sauces and soups, Roma tomatoes or plum, they're the same thing, are definitely the way to go. There's not so many seeds, and they're juicy. So those are very good. You're gonna need your mirepoix. For a reminder, that is onions, carrots, and celery. 50% onions, 25 carrots and celery each. We got some flour, a little clarified butter. I've been having it going, so it might be browning, but that's okay. Get a little bit of a nuttier flavor, so that's not bad. So I got the flour and the butter for a roux. Also just, for sauteing stuff. I'm going to be making the roux separate and then just kind of dumping it in. I feel like that's the easiest way to do it. I'll teach you guys what a roux is. A roux, it is French. Of course it's French. Everything is French, basically. So a roux used to be 60-40 fat and flour. For whatever reason, they decided they didn't like that anymore, so they went to 50-50. So it's equal parts now, and we'll get into that in just a tad. And a little bit of basil, chicken stock, cream, and a blender to blend it in. I think that's it. Let's get going. So we'll simultaneously get the onions and the rest of the mirepoix sweating. It's called sweating, I'm assuming, because it's releasing its moisture and it looks like it's sweating. That's my best guess for that. So it's essentially sauteing, but you don't want any type of coloring. Well, that's what they say. They say no coloring on your vegetables. I don't know why. I feel like you can get it. I guess it's for the color, oftentimes, for like if you're making something whiter, but I don't think that applies here. You can also, which I feel like would also be really good, is roast the vegetables, and like with the garlic, if you want to do like a garlic confit, which is basically roasted garlic. You put it in some aluminum foil, olive oil, put it in there for, 40 minutes to an hour, depending on how many cloves you got, and it gets it roasted and mushy, and you can just kind of add that in. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe I'll do it another time. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so first, the clarified butter was already warm, so we don't have to do much with that. You can just put those in. Boom, boom, boom. Put your onions in. So for your onions and your mirepoix, it really doesn't matter how nicely you cut them. It's all going to get blended. Just try and keep them uniform. Keep them all around roughly the same size so that you don't have any problems cooking it, some all the way through and some are mushy, just even cook times. Basically you just mix it all up. Alright. All right, so we got our pan over here really hot. It doesn't really need to be smoking. It's actually probably, I don't know. It probably would be better to have it not, but that's what we're working with. So about that much fat is looking good. Once again, that's clarified butter. You can use regular butter, but you do not want to get it that hot. Because regular butter, once again, has a way lower smoke point. So you basically, it's really hot for no reason. Yeah, so basically you add the fat and flour. It should roughly give you this kind of look. And you toast it for a little bit. Yeah, that's around how much you want. You could do a little bit more. We're shooting for a quart, but we're also doing dairy. Cream is also another fat. Plus we're reducing it, so depends on how you want your consistency to be of your soup. So the onions got sweated. Once again, you can have a little bit of color, but you don't want too much color. The onions go in a little bit before, just cause, I guess, and then we'll put in the garlic right after. But you're gonna want to let the carrots and the celery cook down. You want them soft before you ended up adding your liquid. So we'll put that in there. You'll probably notice when you're making your roux, I've done it probably, you don't want it at this dark. I forgot about it a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But you do want to cook it a little bit so you can get that nutty flavor, and when you're doing it, you're probably going to notice it smells an awful lot like, I guess, like cookies, sugar cookies. That's because it's basically the same thing, but you want to have it you want to have it smelling almost identical to that. When it starts smelling a little bit more nutty, that's probably when you want to take it off. Well, it's definitely when you want to take it off. Keep looking at your vegetables, because you don't want it to start burning. Having a lid on helps with that, but you never know. I've gotten a little cocky at times and left for a little bit and then came back and it was completely black. So just keep an eye on it. Watch your heat. If you need to turn it down, feel free to do that, or turn it up. I don't know. And you basically let that go for, I don't know, 5-ish minutes. Okay. As you start to notice the colors of the vegetables change, that's when you can start looking at putting in your garlic and your tomatoes, because they're going to continue cooking more with that, and you don't want them overcooked. So around here, I also realized I forgot to say how much mirepoix you want. I'd say roughly a pound. We're looking for, I mean, there's only a couple ingredients, so it's not that big. If you want to do more, you can certainly do that. But, which I think, I'm looking at it, I think I definitely did. But it's never been a problem with my cream of soups. So, and also, fun fact, tomato soup's really just another cream of. So if you hear like cream of mushroom, cream of whatever, it's the same thing. Sorry to burst your bubble if you didn't know that. It's not too fancy. Next, I've got 3 cloves of garlic going in. One was a big clove, so if you have smaller cloves, it's really like 4. You just mince it, dice it. Well, yeah, it's a mince. Just toss that in. Give that like a minute or so. Be careful not to burn your garlic, because that would stink. Then you got to restart. So just keep an eye on it. If you have to add more fat, go for it. I think I did around an ounce. I don't really know, but I think so. Just keep working it around. Make sure you got around like an even coating. There should be almost garlic on in each spot of it. Let that go a little bit. And then you'll end up putting your tomatoes in and let your tomatoes go for a little bit. I like to put my seasoning in right after I put the tomatoes in. I feel like the tomatoes really absorbs the flavor better than if I just put it in after. So for that, I've got about half a tablespoon of salt, half a tablespoon of paprika, teaspoon of cayenne, teaspoon of cinnamon, teaspoon of mustard powder, and around a teaspoon of black pepper. If you feel like it's not enough or whatever, feel free to add more or do your own. You can do either like a garlic centric or whatever. I like to give mine a little bit of that smoky, spicier flavor. So I did also, speaking of, I did for my chicken stock, I didn't make it this time. I'm sorry, I feel bad about that. But I did like a spicy chicken stock. Should be interesting. I like to keep it a little hotter, especially since you're balancing it out with the dairy. All right, you're gonna toss in your tomatoes. I did 5 smaller Roma tomatoes, somewhere around there. Once again, if you feel like it's not enough and your other stuff is overpowering, you can change it. I don't see why not. Let this go for a couple of minutes. It doesn't have to be anything too long. And then the tomatoes will release their juices and it should be good. I'm gonna toss in the seasoning as well. That might help dry it up a little bit. And also keep in mind, depending on when you put in your seasoning and depending on how much you reduce it, the more you reduce it with the seasoning in, the stronger that flavor. So keep that in mind. So you're gonna want to watch your water levels. If you need to add more liquid, feel free. So we're doing 40 ounces of chicken stock to make a quart. So I have, my grace period is about 8 ounces of chicken stock. I'm alleviating that space so that you can reduce it to get you that much. This isn't really that much of a reduced soup. I mean, it kind of is, but that's more so once you put the cream in. So you just gotta watch that, worry about that later. I'm sure you'll notice once you put your tomatoes in, and like any food, any stew, you're using tomatoes. After you put them in, there's going to be a lot more water, whether it's ratatouille or even tomato sauce or whatever. The step where you always put the tomatoes in, they release a lot of moisture. So as you can tell, it's kind of starting to look like different. I don't know, like a soup-ish. So we've had our tomatoes in for a couple of minutes now, maybe three or so minutes. We're gonna be dumping that chicken stock in. As you can tell, the noise is gonna stop. The kind of, what do you call it? Like the crackling, the crisp crackling sound, the sound of it sauteing, I mean, it's really caramelizing. It's gonna stop as you put in the liquid. So now the temperature is a lot lower. Let it get up to temp before you end up putting in your roux. You can put your lid on, get that up to temp. Then you stick your roux in. You can do it at the beginning. Like with some, you'll add to the roux. Some dishes you'll add to the roux. Like if you're doing a homemade mac and cheese, you're gonna typically put the roux in first and then put everything on top of that and build it up from the ground up. I like for the soup, for whatever reason, if you cook it ahead of time and then cool it off later, it ends up incorporating a lot easier for whatever reason. I don't know, science. So that's what I do now on, and I'll show you that soon. Also, heads up on the roux. The longer you cook it, like if you're doing a brown sauce, the longer you cook it, the less potent the roux is gonna be. So you're gonna, depending on how long you cook it, you're gonna need to adjust for how much you put in. There's ratios on that I don't remember, but I think it's like 3-to-1, brown to white. Okay, so we got the what do you call this? The soup up to temp so far. Up to temp enough to where we're gonna now be good, because we want to cook the roux. We need to make sure the flour taste cooks out. So you want to get it in relatively as soon as you can. And get it all off. Mix it around. You'll probably start to notice a bit of a change. Well, you will, depending on how much you stick in. And the higher you have it, the more that change will be apparent. You want to usually whisk. I like to whisk it in. That helps break it up better, I feel like. Yeah, you'll start to notice it pretty quickly. It'll feel not gelatinous, but like it'll look pretty much similar, just maybe a little cloudy, but it'll be a lot weirder to move your whisk or whatever utensil you're using. If you have a non-stick pan like I do, make sure to use like plastic. They don't have any wood whisks. I don't even know what that would look like, so don't use metal. If you use metal on a Teflon pan or a non-stick pan, it will bleed into your food and you'll get sick over time. So probably don't do that. Okay. And now that we have our roux in, we're gonna let it get hotter, get it up to temp. Simmer it for a little bit, maybe 10 or so minutes. Blend it, return it, cream. The difference, if you ever wanted to know the difference between a bisque and a cream of soup, they both obviously have cream in it. The difference is cream of soup, you blend, return, add the cream after, and you temper it like that. Bisque, you have it in the blender and you slowly pour in the cream and emulsify it that way. Okay, guys, so this is the moment of truth. I've never done this before, so we're gonna see. Hopefully, I don't know, does food coloring does it break apart when the thing is too hot? I hope not. I don't think so. I haven't really heard of that. I'm gonna try and see if this will work. So I have black food coloring here. We're gonna try and turn our grilled cheese into a bat. I've never seen this be done, but I'm a little excited. Yeah, I might need to. I'll probably have to wait for it to cool down. Okay, it is butter, so that is a good point. Will it even mix? Is the question. Okay, so it is kind of working somehow. It's looking pretty black. It might work. It might work. I've never done this before. So we'll see. I mean, it's not, I will say it's not incorporating very well. So I'm trying to whisk it in, but we'll see. We'll see. It's kind of, it is black, but I don't know if it's going to do what we really want it to do. I guess I'll just have to keep whisking it until the time comes. In the meantime, this soup is looking pretty good so far. I think we're about at 3 or so minutes away until we blend it, and then when we put the soup, the cream in, it's pretty much going to be done, which is nice. That's why I like this soup. It's pretty easy. You can just throw it in, throw it on, and then kind of let it sit. Soups are great. Soups are great. For this, I'm going to toss a little bit of basil in here too. Give it a little bit of a basil-y flavor, and then we're going to also add it at the end as a garnish. That'll give it a little bit of an herby flavor. All right, so as I'm getting ready to blend it, I'm wondering if adding the food coloring to the cream might work better than adding it to the soup as well, based off of what we just saw with the butter. So I'm going to try and get it to a really dark color. Oops. I put a decent bit in, so it is looking pretty pink. A lot of red 4D dye, so don't do this too often. Alright, so it's not perfect, but we can maybe adjust after we mix the two. We'll see how that goes. We're about to blend right now, so hopefully it'll come out well. I'm hoping. We'll see. This one is actually working better than I thought. Okay, when you're blending, you're going to want to go quite slow at the beginning. We always had a KitchenAid blenders at the beginning. You want to go slow. Okay. Well, it looks like carrot soup-ish. I probably should have put more tomatoes. Oh well. Alright, so we're returning it to the pot. It is looking a little bit more orangey than usual, but this works potentially to our advantage with this brownish, reddish little thing we got going on. Okay, so when you're working with cream or milk or any type of those things, dairy that can curdle, you want to make sure you're tempering it, right? So you bring some here, instead of just sticking it all in there and it gets really hot too quickly. You want to take some from in here, and you're going to want to bring it over just a little bit to start. Whisk it in, so you want to gradually up the temperature without it spoiling or curdling. This way it doesn't go bad. If you whisk it in at the same time, it generally works the best. Usually people do a spoonful, but I guess it always depends on what you're doing, what you're looking for. Take a little bit more. Should hopefully be hot enough, I feel like. Maybe. And if not, we can always readjust. It's also probably better to remove the heat, get it all in there. So for the grilled cheese, this time we're doing, for the bread, I think I did this last time as well, but I don't actually quite remember. I believe I did honey wheat bread last time too. I don't remember. And for the cheese, we're just going with, what is it, provolone, which is nice because these are thin slices, and pepper jack, which is a little bit of a thicker slice than I typically do. So that's going to help us. They're not, provolone's a decent cheese. You usually use that in like Italian subs or whatever. Pepper jack isn't a great cheese for melting, but I figured I'm going to use it anyways because I already chose to do the spicy chicken stock. So I figured it's kind of going with the theme. Why not? So we're going to let this kind of hang out. I don't want to put the burner on that right now because well, I'm going to do it. I just said I wasn't going to do it, and I did it anyways. Keep that on low, low, low. Put this one back on. Let the pan get decently warm. Here, we're gonna do our garnish with our basil garnish. What we're gonna do here now is called chiffonade. Chiffonading the basil. Would you believe it if I told you that it was also French? So for the basil, if you can, similar to the cream, if you can keep it in the refrigerator until you really need it, do that. The longer you have it sitting out, it's just going to wilt. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a couple leaves, roll them up. So chiffonading just means thin strips. You want to take all the little rolls you have, roll them up get a little strips, and voila. It's really quite simple. You don't need a whole lot, which is kind of frustrating because at the supermarket, it's really the only option. It's like with some of those herbs, it's like you often don't need that much. And the only option they really come in is just a lot of basil. So, which I mean, I guess is handy if you're doing pesto, but we're not. So it doesn't help us too much. But whatever. Maybe we can do pesto later. All right, I've got the pan heating up. I'm gonna bring, so our garnish is fully ready now. Okay, so we've got our bread. I'm gonna do one of the provolone on each side, and in the middle will be the pepper jack. Just like that, nothing too fancy, nothing too exciting, but this is where the fanciness comes. So if you can see, it's pretty dark, which is nice. That is what we wanted. I'm curious. I'm curious to see if it'll actually work. That is kind of a lot of butter. I'm not gonna lie. The butter's not liking all the moisture in there. But I'm hoping once I put something down, it'll stop being irritating. I knew that was the case with water, or with oil rather. And I guess this is just kind of the part, but you know how they say like oil and water don't mix so well? I'm starting to see that it's this as well. I was gonna put down, all right, moment of truth. We're gonna be flipping the bread. I should have gotten a different utensil. It is a little bit black. This guy, yeah. So it is a little bit black. It's not quite what I was hoping for. Maybe I need to turn it down so it doesn't get as much of like an actual crust as we're used to, that you normally would want on your grilled cheese. But this time I really want to see that darkness, the black. Might be better. This might be the most unhealthy version of this I've made. But it's okay because I'm experimenting. It's like I'm basting a grilled cheese. Woo, the spooky blood soup is done. It's looking good. So here we're gonna put in our not so spooky garnish, but it's not quite staying up the way we want, but that's okay. And now time for the real test to see if it looks like a bat. So what we're gonna wanna do, cut it in the middle like that. And then I'm gonna try and cut out some triangles. To make it look like a bat a little bit. Somewhat. Maybe it needs multiple. Well, I don't know if I can say they look like bats, but they certainly are spooky. So we'll have that. Maybe if they go this way. Some perfectly spooky grilled cheese and tomato soup. We'll have to tweak around the recipe. I've never really worked with food coloring like that, so that makes it the spookiest of all. But I hope you guys enjoyed. It's one day to Halloween, so go out there, trick or treat. Hopefully it's not too rainy. Hopefully you guys have the greatest of Halloweens, and we'll see you in November for some fun Thanksgiving time. Woo! Thank you all. Have a good one.